Hey folks, this is me a continuation of my last video. Sitting out here in this park, and some riders came by and their horses, so I had to stop recording because I guess I just wanted to make sure that my voice was being heard, and you got horses going by and people talking and that sort of thing. So, anywho, I guess I was like talking a lot about nostalgia and frustration last time, and just like the sources of that and how that related to my sort of escapist mentality, and how this led to a lot of addictions. I call it internet addiction, social media addiction, video game addiction, things of that nature, and just like, I guess you say bad decision making. And I guess the follow up to that would be talking about, since my thoughts are better collected now than they were in the last video, I'd just say like making peace with the past, understanding it, contending with it, making peace with it, and making the best of it. And it's still really a struggle for me. I mean, even after I've gotten that off my chest, and realizing that like in many ways, like we are limited by what we're born into, what we're born with, but we have the choice to make the best of it as we can, or just sit around complaining all the time and saying like, oh, if only I had been born in this family or that family, or had all this money, or had the connections, my life would be so much better, and that sort of thing. Which isn't to say that, people aren't born into hardship and whatnot, and they can, it's not a matter of just thinking about it or wanting it, or that whole law of attraction stuff, which I consider in many ways like nonsense. It's a lot of woo, It's like this whole sort of, oh, if you think positive, positive things will come to you, and, maybe there's a kernel of truth to it, but I think that stuff gets taken to an extreme by a lot of folks, including in the Nofap movement, but it's a topic for another video. But anyways, getting to talk about this, the whole Star Wars fandom thing, and the nostalgia and the frustration and the sort of the sadness, in a sense that, see, like I'm 30 years old right now. It's sadness that, I'm 30 years old right now, and I'm at that sort of point where it's kind of like I'm in between being young and being middle-aged, and I kind of feel the sort of last like wisps of being young and having all those sorts of feelings about life, the hope, the dreams, the desires to do all these, out of the world, amazing, extraordinary things, and then I have the sort of middle-aged feelings of disappointment and almost like a midlife crisis type feeling, going on, and that sort of combination just really makes it hard to like contend with, at least for me, to mentally contend with the past, and just think about what it could have been, what should have been, as it should have been if I had had control of everything in my life and in the world, and having this sort of crazy like what if thought of, oh, what if I could go back and change things, how would things be different, but I feel like this is something that I'm really like facing right now, not just because of my age, which I've given as a major reason, but also I think it's really because I've gotten this far on Nofap. You kind of you stop running for all those negative emotions and those bad feelings and those bad memories, and failed dreams, and like the feeling kind of having your childhood heart broken by life, and obviously, like I've said in passing, for some people it's 1,000 million times worse. I mean, I didn't grow up in a war-torn country. I'm not from Darfur. I'm not, I'm not someone who's sitting here saying, oh, the army came by and they killed my family, and I had to run and hide in the bushes, and then, I had to walk, 500 or 1,000 miles to the border to escape, from my country to some other foreign land, and, now here I am living on the streets in the middle of this, third world metropolis, and that's not my life. It's not that extreme. So I had to keep that in perspective, keep that in mind. But at the same time, like, I don't know, it's kind of like you see folks who seem to have everything fall into place for them, and they kind of get to be at the right spot at the right time with the right people, and you just kind of wonder, like, if you could have ended up like that. Like, if I were to use the Star Wars example again, with the Disney Wars movies, as I'm calling them, it's kind of like, I couldn't go and watch them, and I will not go and watch them, in part because there's that part of me that's going to go, like, and see these folks acting in these movies and thinking, like, wow, they just got to, like, live what was my childhood and adolescent dream, and it just, like, it seemed like it just happened for them to a certain extent, which isn't true, obviously. Like, they had to go and, like, I know Adam Driver, he had to act in a series of movies before Star Wars, so he had to have a portfolio to show, to J.J. Abrams and others that, hey, I can act, It wasn't like he just walked in there and, oh, yeah, you're going to play this character, Same thing with, what was the guy's name? James or John Bodega? I think it was John Bodega who played the Stormtrooper. I mean, he had other movies that he made before that, so it's not like he just walked in there and they just threw it at him and he was like, oh, Star Wars, yeah, sure thing, Always been a fan of Star Wars, great, it wasn't like that, he had to actually hone his craft, and that's sort of the difference between reality and perception, having to realize that, these folks who seem to come out of nowhere, they've been putting their 10,000 hours in to work at their craft or at their career or at their job, and so now you're seeing them at their peak, and it seems like they just got it handed to them, but the reality is behind the scenes they were working their butts off, and that's why suddenly they had this opportunity given to them because they'd done 10 2-bit films, and finally somewhere along there, maybe one of those directors at, this major corporation or that major corporation, went and saw a performance of their latest, B-level film or whatever, and was like, hey, that guy's got some talent, let's see if he wants to try out for this role or whatever. And it's like, in some ways they did get lucky, but at the same time, it's like they had to do 10, B-level films or 2-bit films, they had to work their butt off to get to that point. So, really talking about this, getting this off my chest, and kind of thinking out loud, it's really helping, and I'm going to have to continue to do this because, there's always moments that come back to you, and you kind of have the nostalgia and the frustration, and you think back, and you want to, like, redo the past, but you can't because that's life, life is... It's like we're all time travelers into the future. We're going in one direction. We're all time travelers in one direction. Time travelers in one direction, and one dimension. And there really isn't per se like a redo. I mean, you have all these science fiction movies and so on where people try to build time machines and go back and. Some of them it works out for them. Sometimes it has unintended consequences. Sometimes, no matter what they do, going back in time, the bad thing they're trying to avoid having happen, it happens because it was going to happen either way, So, I will have to continue to make that effort to make peace with the past, and I think that's something we're all going to do as Nofappers, because obviously, you get to the point where you look back and you see a lot of time that you wasted. All the times you were running from your problems using PMO, or the internet, or social media, video games, computer games, whatever the case it may have been. I mean, this is bigger than just Nofap, but I will be included as my Nofap life vlog series. But it's bigger than that. You look back and you see all the time you wasted, and you're thinking like, what could have been, what you could have accomplished by now. But I think for me at least, the best thing to do is to try to take that sort of understanding and not continue to repeat it, because if you continue to repeat it, you're just going to end up in the same spot going, oh, all the time I wasted, what I could have done, where my life could be, etc. You know. So thanks for watching, and really appreciate anybody who subscribes. You know, even if they only subscribe for like a day or two, and they just see some of my content. Especially if you guys leave comments, likes, that sort of thing. Give me some feedback. And we have sort of a discussion started about these issues, because I think for a lot of us, this is the kind of stuff that we've avoided for a long time. And even if it's like starting a conversation about this with a complete stranger, if it at least starts getting the gears going and thinking, and resolving those emotions, resolving those issues. And right now I'm thinking about Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. Just kind of came in my mind. But all that nostalgia just kind of comes to the surface, and it's a good thing to talk about it. It's a good thing to get it off your chest. So, anywho, thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you around. Bye.